Welcome back, welcome back. What a joy, what a joy. I wish I know how to sing. Say, what a joy to see my student be back from taking the quiz and here to learn more. I know, I'm bad, I'm not good. I love to sing when I take shower, that's it. Other than that, Mr. Max, not a singer, but I'm a good teacher, am I right? But I'm not a good singer. And I always admire those singers who can sing and also those who can play instruments. And I hope you are doing some hobbies. Make sure you have some hobbies. Take something like, for example, or even playing instrument. All these are hobbies. They're very good. You just don't want to just do study alone, all right? You want to have a balance of everything. Take some time and go play because your body needs it. A fit body means a strong mind, all right? I hope I'm saying that right. Maybe a strong body is a fit mind, or fit mind or strong body, whichever. All right, whichever it is, okay? But keep in mind, the point I'm trying to make is do something, all right? About go out and play and have some time, you know, in other activities, because you do just want to concentrate on just study, okay? Balance yourself. Take some time out and also do some reading. You know, it's so much fun. Take a magazine or take a newspaper. Find out what's going on around the world, what's happening around you, you know, things like that, you know. Enrich yourself with all this knowledge, the things that's happening around you. It's very healthy to do that. Okay, because I just want you to concentrate just schoolwork alone. Go something outside of your schoolwork. Like, for example, find out what's happening in United States of America, what's happening in African continent, what's happening in Australia, things like that, all right? It's fun to learn them, to find out what's going on. And as well, also to get some kind of hobby, like for example, if you don't have, I'm sure you do, if you don't, take like maybe some kind of music lesson or something like that, okay? Mr. Mac used to play chess. I love chess. And when I was young, and I always challenge the adults, because I couldn't, those to my level, usually I beat them, so I thought it's time for me not to play to my level, time to challenge someone above my level, so that way I can challenge, so that way I can improve myself. And it was so much fun. Mr. Mac always had fun playing chess. Alright, let's get back to it. Alright, in this sub-lesson, we're going to talk about combined operation, okay? What is combined operation? Now, we learned how to add, we learned how to subtract, we learned how to multiply, we learned how to divide. But all this, we do it as a group. Multiplication, we only did multiplication. I mean, addition, we did only for addition. Subtraction, we only did with the subtraction. Division, we only did division. Nothing else we combined. This sub-lesson, we're going to do what? We're going to do Roja. That means we're going to combine the multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, all in there in a one problem and try to fix it, trying to solve it. How do we do that? So let's take this scenario for example, okay? So it's only one toll entrance. You're driving with your mom and dad, okay? So your dad is driving and there are 5 cars, you know, all of you 5 in lane. Suddenly, all these are narrowing down into one lane so that to get to the toll. What's going to happen? If there is no priorities, who should go first? All 5 of you are going to fight to get into that one lane. What's going to happen? It's going to be a big mess. Bang, bang, bang. We don't want that. We don't want that. Am I right? So that's why the transportation department, they put some kind of regulation. They say, all right, when you come this way, this car comes in first as first priority, and then that one next priority, and that one next priority. See that? That way the person who's driving, they already know, oh, this one has more priority than I do. I should let that car go in first, then I can follow because next will be mine. The same thing, the person on the other side will say, you know what, these 2 cars have more priority than I do. I am the third, so I will let these 2 go first. And then the 4th one will do the same thing. See that? The same thing with mathematics. When you have several different operations in one problem, there is a rules that you got to obey. You got to, the rule says that this one has to, this operation has the top priority, and the next, and the next, and the next. We're going to use this word called best mathematics developed at score A. Best mathematics developed at score A. Okay? What does that mean? This is the rule that we're going to obey when we have a mixed operation. Okay? In other words, combined operation in a problem. The B stands for, which is the best, M stands for mathematics, D stands for developed, A stands for at, S stands for scoring. This is just for you to memorize this word, okay, these letters. But what is B actually? B is bracket. When I give you a problem, anything inside the bracket has the top priority. You got to solve it inside the bracket first before you can go to the next operation. Multiplication follows next, or division, okay? So when you have multiplication and division together, you use the left to right method. So either one of this comes next. And then addition and subtraction comes next. Either one of them, by using the left to right. If the addition comes first before the subtraction, you solve that. If the subtraction comes first before the addition, you solve that, because you're using the left to right. Same thing with multiplication, division. If division comes first before multiplication, you do the division first and then multiplication. If multiplication comes first before the division, you do the division first and then multiplication. But keep in mind, what comes first? If there is a bracket, bracket comes first. And then this comes next, and then that comes next. Alright? So that is the priority. It's like the lane. Each car has its priority, who goes first and who goes second and third. If they don't obey that, what happens? It's going to be an accident. It's going to be a mess. Alright? We don't want that. The same thing mathematics also. It will be a mess. You'll get, actually it won't be a mess, it will be a wrong answer. That's what it is. Okay? The bottom line will be a wrong answer if you don't obey this. Okay, let's do a problem. I'm just going to start with a simple problem first, and then we'll continue build it up. Alright? Bigger and bigger. Okay? Let's say, for example, if I have 3 over 4 minus 1 over 2 plus 2 over 5. I got subtraction and addition. Alright? So look at that. Addition and subtraction. Doesn't matter, okay? But when you have subtraction and addition, use the left to right method. That means you perform this first and then you perform that. Alright? Not this and then that. No, always do the left to right, okay? So that means we're going to take 3 over 4 minus 1 over 2 first. And in order to subtract, I have to have what? The common denominator. Okay, so what would be the lowest common multiplier for 4 and 2? Which will be 4. Okay? So since it's the same 4, I'm just going to bring the same 3 down. How do I get 2 to 4? I multiply 2 by 2. That means I also have to multiply the numerator by 2. That makes it this one 2. Because 1 times 2 is 2. Subtract. Now I can subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1 over 4. So I solved this part. Now I'm going to add that with 2 over 5. See that? Now I'm going to combine that operation. So what is the lowest common multiplier for 4 and 5? 20. Very good. So 20 and 20. How do I get from 4 to 20? By multiplying this by 5. And also multiplying this also by 5. So now the numerator becomes 5. Then bring the plus back. How do I get from 5 to 20? Multiply this by 4. That means the numerator also I multiply by 4. 2 times 4 is 8. Now I add them. 5 plus 8 is 13 over 20. See that? Easy, isn't it? That's it. Right there. That's it. Okay? Good. Now keep in mind, I can even just put, let's say if I put 4 and then 1 and then 3. Let's say I do that. Same thing. 4 and 1. So 4 minus 1 is 3. See that? So 3. And then put the 3 and the 3 belong to that one. So 3 plus 3 is 6. So that becomes 6 right there. That's it. Okay, if I were to change the problem, give you with the mixed numbers. Now keep in mind, with addition and subtraction, when you have a mixed numbers, you don't have to turn them into improper fraction. You can just add the number with number, the whole number with whole number, the fraction with fraction. But with multiplication and division is the one that you have to change them to improper fraction, because you can only multiply when the fractions with the fraction. You only can divide fraction with fraction. See that? But not with addition and subtraction. Okay, so it doesn't apply with the addition and subtraction. Okay, good. Let's do another problem. Okay, let's say for example, if I give you 3 over 4 minus 1 over 3 times 1 over 2. I got subtraction and multiplication operation mixed in one problem. So which one goes first? Right there. Best mathematics developed at score A. M, which is multiplication, comes first before the subtraction. That means I have to solve this first and then that. See that? So let's do that. That means 1 over 3 times 1 over 2. Double arrow method, because I cannot simplify, becomes 1 over 6. And I substitute right in there. So it becomes 3 over 4 minus 1 over 6. Very important. Don't lose track of the minus. See that? You did only this part. So make sure bring the minus back down. Okay? Very important. Okay? So now I can combine these two. I can do this operation, which is subtraction. 4 and 6, what is the common denominator or the lowest common multiplier for 4 and 6? 12, because 4 can go into 12, 6 can go into 12. See that? If you're not sure, you always do what? Use the one-leg ladder method, okay? The one-leg ladder method, 4 and 6. So 2, so that makes it 2 and 3. See that? 2, that makes it 1 and 3. 3 makes it 1 and 1. Your goal is to make it all the way down to 1. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Okay? So that makes it 12, 12. How do I go from 4 to 12? I multiply this by 3. That means I'm going to multiply the numerator also by 3. That makes it 9. How do I go from 6 to 12? I multiply that by 2. That means the numerator also I multiply that by 2. That makes it 2 over 12. Now I can subtract. 9 minus 2 is 7. So that makes it 7 over 12. That's my final answer. Because I cannot reduce anymore, leave it the way it is. That's it. Okay? So very straightforward. Okay? Now, let's say for example, if I give you a problem with a bracket. Okay? Let's say, let Mr. Mac erase the board. So we have some room. I'll be back within a few seconds. Alright, my dear students. Now let's say for example, if I give you, let's say 5 over 6 minus 2 over 3. Okay? And then I put a bracket and then I said multiply 1 over, let's say 2. So how do you do this one? So look at that. Multiplication. Look at that. Bracket. Even though these two are subtracting, and you get a multiplication right there. See that? What does it say? Multiplication comes first before you can subtract. But it been overruled or it been overpowered by bracket. The bracket says, wait a minute. The rule is I have the top priority. Anything inside my bracket will need to be performed first before you can do any other operation. That means I have to solve this first before I can multiply that with half. 1 over 2. See that? Bracket comes first. That means I have to solve this first. Okay? So we're going to find a common denominator between 6 and 3, which would be 6. Okay? The lowest common multiplier would be 6. How do I get 6 to 6, which is pretty much times 1, which is I just bring them straight down. How do I get 3 to 6? I multiply that by 2. That means I also multiply the numerator by 2. Makes it 4 over 6. 5 minus 4 will be 1. Okay? So the 1 over 6. Now I can times it with 1 over 2. 5 minus 4 is 1. You carry the 6. I completed that operation, then I can remove that bracket. So now you got 1 over 6 times 1 over 2. Okay, I use the double arrow method, which makes it 1 over 12. Alright. Now let's do another one. Let's say for example, I give you 8, 3 over 5 plus 2 over 3. You said, what is that, Mr. Mac? You put right next to the bracket 8. Actually, this is another way of expressing multiplication. Okay, so in other words, this is what this is. When you have bracket, you don't have to put a multiplication. You can just put it right next to it like this, which is same as that. So make sure you understand, this is this. 8 is multiplying everything inside that bracket. 8 is multiplying everything inside the bracket. That means I total up in this case because of this addition. I have to solve this first and then multiply that with 8. Alright, so let's do that. Find the common denominator between 5 and 3 would be 15 would be the lowest common multiplier. Alright, okay, so we're going to add them. So how do I get from 5 to 15? I times it with 3. That means I have to times the numerator also with 3. That makes it 9. How do I get from 3 to 15? I times 3 with 5. 3 times 5 is 15. That means the numerator also I times it with 5. 2 times 5 will makes it 10. So I add them. So it becomes 19 over 15. Okay? And I'm multiplying that with 8. But this one is in the form of whole number. I make it into a fraction. 8 over 1 times 19 over 15. See that? Can I simplify? No. Then I apply the double arrow method. Right there. Double arrow method. So 19 times 8. I use the long multiplication. 19 times 8. 8 times 9 is? Very good. 72. So 2, 7. 8 times 1 is? 8 plus 7 is? 15. So it gives you 152. So 152 over 15. Do I leave the answer like that? No. Why? It's an improper fraction. The numerator is greater than the denominator. That means I'm going to use the arrow down method. So that is 152 divided by 15. 152 divide 15. See that? So I'm going to use the long division. Okay? I'm going to put the Kh approach. 152, which is goes inside because it's kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put inside. 15 is kind of out. I'll put outside. First digit I can. I go to the next digit. 15. In 15 is how many 15? 1. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. Minus gives me 0. I bring the 2 down. In 2 there's how many 15? 0. See that? And that is the balance. Alright. So that means this is equals to 10 will be the whole number. Okay. The balance is the 2. 15 is your denominator, so which is right there. 15 is your denominator. That means right away you know this is going to be your numerator right there. That is your final answer. See that? Very important. What's inside the bracket has to be solved. Remember, this is multiplying. That's what that is. Alright? Don't confuse wondering what that is. Okay? Alright, good. Okay, good. Let's do more. Okay, let's say for example, if I give you, alright, let's say 3 over 4, let's say 1 times 2 over 8, and then divided by, let's say 1 over 6, like this. So how do you solve like this? You got multiplication and division. Doesn't matter which one comes first, multiplication or division. You just use the left to the right method. That means perform this two first and then that. Alright? That means we're going to multiply that first. So we're going to change this into fraction because this is in a mixed number. Alright? Now remember, multiplication, division, you have to have it in a form of what? Fraction. Okay? Fraction. But addition and subtraction, you don't have to. Alright? Alright, let's do that. So 4 times 1, so we're going to use a semi-rotation method, multiply and add. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So because 7 over 4 times 2 over 8. We're going to do this one first, okay? And see if we can simplify. No, so we're going to use the double arrow method. 7 times 2 is 14. 4 times 8 is 32. Now we're going to take that one, alright? So we're going to change this also into fraction. We're going to use a semi-rotation method. multiplication and then addition. 6 times 1 plus 1 is 7. Alright, 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So that makes it 7 over 6. Now remember, the division is right there, and then this is the one right there, so I'm going to put right there, 14 over 32. 14 over 32. Okay, so we got division problem. So when you have a division problem like that, what do? You change the division into multiplication. So we're going to turn the division into multiplication. When I do that, 7 over 6 also turns, so it becomes 6 over 7. But I'm going to keep 14 over 32 same. And look at this one. Can I simplify 7 and 14? Yes, I can divide this by 7 and I can divide this by 7. Can I simplify this too? Yes, I can divide this by 2. I can divide this by 2. See that? So now this one becomes 2. This one becomes 1. This one becomes 3. This one becomes 16. Now I can use the double arrow method. 2 times 3 is 6. 16 times 1 is 16. But before we do that, look at that. We forgot this way. That's why. But even if you forget, doesn't matter. When you come to here, you can see 16 over 16. I mean 6 over 16 can be reduced. I can divide the 2 over here, divide the 2 over here. See that? Which pretty much right here. See that? Which it doesn't matter. If you forget, that's fine. The final answer, when you come to the answer, it tells you, hey, you could have done further reducing over here. But you can finish it up right here. Because when you look 6 and 16, you know that, wait a minute, the 2 can be divided with both of them. Okay, which makes it this one, 6 divided by 2 is 3, 16 divided by 2 is 8. So now we cannot reduce anymore. That is your final answer. Okay, so see that? If you didn't forget to, see, if we would have used the bow method, we solved this way, but we didn't do the vertical way. 2 and 16 can be simplified. But we cannot use the horizontal way. Horizontal is only for multiplying it, alright? For the arrow method, alright? Okay, good. That gives you 3 over 8. Keep in mind, alright? So it's very important. Let Mr. Mac erase the board. Let's do a few more problems before we do hands-on practice. I just want to make sure you understand this principle right here. Very important, alright? Best mathematics developed at score A. Bracket, either multiplication or division comes first using the left to right method, or addition or subtraction comes next, left to right method. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one comes, but remember, bracket comes first, next is that, and then that. Alright, okay, let Mr. Mac erase the board. We'll do a few more problems and then we'll go to the hands-on practice. I'll be back within a few seconds. Alright, my dear students, I got a couple problems here. Let's do these 2 problems, alright? So let's say, for example, look at this one. I got 4 divided by bracket 1 over 2 minus 3 over 4. Now look at that. Earlier when we had a multiplication, we didn't put anything. But with division, you have to show the division. Okay, it's very important. Okay, so who do I perform first? Definitely the bracket. Whatever inside the bracket gets the priority. Alright, so that means I'm going to solve this one. Now do I change this to improper fraction? No, this is a subtraction operation. We don't have to. We just subtract it. But look at that. The denominators are not same. So I have to find the common denominator. In this case, will be 4 would be the common denominator. Okay, so I just bring the 3 over 4 down. So 4, how do I get 2 to 4? I multiply 2 with 2. How do I, that means I also multiply the numerator with 2. So that makes it 2 over 4 and bring the 2 down. But look at this. 2 is smaller than 3, not to subtract. That means I have to borrow from 2. So the 2 have to give me 1 and turn that into fraction. Okay, that means 1 plus 1 plus 2 over 4 minus 3 over 4. That means, what do I do to this 1? How do I change this 1 into 4 over 4? This is the one that decides for you. That way they're all in common denominator. So 4 over 4 plus 2 over 4 plus 1 minus 3 over 4. Okay, so that makes it this one, 6 over 4, 1 minus 3 over 4. Now I can subtract. 6 minus 3 is 3. Okay, so that makes it 1, 3 over 4. and then I'm going to divide that with 4. Now look at that, 4. Alright, so let's rewrite that here. 4 divided by 1, 3 over 4. I can take the bracket out. Alright, we got whole number and a mixed number. Alright, I change them into fraction, so it becomes 4 over 1, and this one is a mixed number. I'm going to use this semi-rotation, multiply and add. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7, so that makes it 7 over 4. Division becomes multiplication. I turn, so 7 over 4 becomes 4 over 7, and I just rewrite the 4 over 1. Now I can use the double arrow method because I cannot simplify. Alright, so I use the double arrow method. So 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times 7 is 7. Do I leave the answer like this? No, because why? This is improper fraction, so I'm going to use the arrow down method. So that means 16 divided by 7, and I'm good because that's a 60 right there, that's the division, and that's a 7. I'm going to use the long division using the cage method approach. 16 kind of into Mr. Meg, I'm going to put inside the cage. 7 is kind of out, I'll put outside the cage. Okay, in 16 there's how many 7? 2, because 2 times 7 is 14. 6 minus 4 is 2, 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, so that means this is, the 2 is the round number, the 7 is the denominator. See that? Denominator. That means 2 is going to be my numerator. Right there. It becomes 2 over 7. Alright? Okay, good. Well, let Mr. Mac erase this board, and then we can go to the, erase this part so we can do the second part of the problem. I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, my dear students. Okay, let's look at this one. Okay? Now, look at this. You got division and subtraction in one problem. Okay? Is there a bracket? No. So that pretty much rules out because there's no bracket. That means in between division and subtraction, who comes first? Division comes first. Alright? So I got to solve this first before I want to subtract. But look at that. It's so tempting. 4 over 9 minus 3 over 9. Such a simple number. Why don't I just subtract that first and then I divide? You can't do that. Even though it looks so simple for you to solve this one, this two and this operation, but you cannot break the rules. What happens when you break the rules? The consequence is it's going to be a wrong answer. Okay, so you have to solve this first and then that. All right, okay, so make use of this pairing method, okay, by doing this, so that way you know you have to solve this first and then that. Alright, so that means we're going to do this first. So we're going to take that apart. Okay, we're going to put this as separate, and then are this in a form of fractions? Because remember, when you're doing division, they both has to be in a form of fractions, but they're not. This one is in a mixed number. This one, yes, in a form of fraction. Okay, so I'm going to convert this into a improper fraction using this semi-rotation. Multiply and add. 3 times 2 is 6, 6 plus 2 is 8, so it becomes 8 over 3 divided by 4 over 9. Division. So division, I'm going to turn it into multiplication. Okay, use the doorknob method. I turn it, and that means the 4 over 9 becomes 9 over 4. That one also turned. I keep the 8 over 3 the way it is. Now I want to simplify. Okay, so 8 and 4 I can simplify by dividing it by 4, dividing 8 by 4. Now that means this one becomes 1, 8 divided by 4 becomes 2. Okay, now this 2 I can divide by 3 and 3, so I can divide 9 by 3, 3 by 3. That makes 9 divided by 3 becomes 3, 3 divided by 3 becomes 1. See that? Now I can use the double arrow method. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. I want to leave it that way because I'm going to subtract that with 3 over 9. Okay, so I'm going to put 3 over 6 over 1. Because this whole thing is right there, 6 over 1 minus 3 over 9. Okay, are they common denominator? No. So I got to make this one to be 9 also. So how do I go from 1 to 9? I multiply that by 9. That means I also multiplied 6 also by 9. So 6 times 9 is 54. Very good, 54. Okay, 54. 54, and then I just bring the 3 down. So now I can subtract. 54 minus 3 is, because it both has common denominator, so 54 minus 3 is 51. So that makes it 51 over 9. And that's an improper fraction. I'm going to use the arrow down method. So that means 51 divided by 9. So I'm going to use the division, the long division, using the cage approach. 51 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put inside the cage. 9 is kind of out. I'll put outside the cage. So now ask yourself, in 51, the first digit 5, you cannot. So you go to the next digit, makes it 51. In 51 is how many 9? The closest would be exactly 5 times 9, because 5 times 9 gives you 45. So 5 times 9 is 45. Okay, we're going to subtract. So I'm going to 1 minus 5. I borrow from 5, becomes 4, and 1 becomes 11. 11 minus 5 is 6. 4 minus 4 is 0. Okay, so that means the round number is 5, and the denominator is 9. So automatically the remainder is going to be the numerator, which will be the 6. Alright, now do I leave the answer like that? No, I can simplify, because I can divide this by 3, I can divide this by 3. Okay, so that means 5, 6 over 9, I can divide this by 3, I can divide this by 3, that gives me 5, 2 over 3, because 6 divided by 3 is 2, 9 divided by 3 is 3. That's the simplest form. See that? Pretty easy, isn't it? It is fun. It is kind of like wow, it's kind of like a game you're playing, you know? You're just using everything, all the tools that you learn, and you're just putting it into it. It is so much fun. Math is fun. Math is easy. It's just that how it's been brought to you. And that's why Mr. Mac is here, to bring mathematics to you in such a way that's so easy and so much fun to learn. And I need your cooperation. I need your cooperation in a way that when I give you some hands-on practice, when I give you quizzes, you got to do it. Because that's how you're going to learn. That's how it's going to make math easy as you go. Math is going to get easier and easier, because everything that you're learning right now is going to help you as you go to the higher level of mathematics. Because this is your stepping stone to get to the higher level. Alright? That's Pablo. Thank you, Pablo. It tells it's time for hands-on practice. Okay, so good. Pablo's came ahead of time and kind of warned us, well, it's time for hands-on practice. Look like he's already got ready this worksheet for the hands-on practice. That's why he's already out kind of alerting us. Alright, it's time for hands-on practice. Okay, good. I want you to get excited. Okay, so let Mr. Mac erase the board, and then we'll call him out again, and he'll bring the worksheet, and you have fun with it. Okay, so give me a few seconds. I'll be back with you. Alright, my students, my dear students, are you ready for some hands-on practice? Alright, let's call Pablo, okay? So he's already done, and he can come out and hand over the worksheet to you. Pablo, come on over, Pablo. Come on over. Here he is. Oh, awesome, Pablo. And he's going to hand over the worksheet to you, and have fun with it, okay? Take your time. And once you're done, come back and bring Mr. Mac in, okay? Remember to pause the video. Here it is. Okay, well, he give you 8 problems this time. Okay, let's do that. It says calculate. So now, before we start, whenever you see a problem that has several operations in it, okay, right away write that. Which one is that? Best mathematics developed at score A. Okay, so that's the best. Okay, that's a very good approach, okay, very good habit to put down that, so that way you can use that as a reference when you solve the problems, okay? So let's do the first problem. The first one says 3 over 4 plus 2 over 3 minus 5 over 8. Alright, now look at this. We got addition and subtraction. Alright, so pretty much addition and subtraction. Now keep in mind, when you have addition and subtraction together, you use the left to right method, okay? So pretty much you just use left to right. So it's not, doesn't tell us either addition or subtraction takes priority. Either one doesn't matter. So you just use the left and right. So that means this one comes first and then that. Alright, make a habit of using this pairing method. So we're going to solve this first. So we're going to add 3 over 4 with 2 over 3. And are they common denominator? No. So I'm going to find the common denominator, the lowest common multiplier. So which would be 12. So I'm going to use 12. And how do I go from 4 to 12? I multiply that by 3. If I multiply the denominator by 3, I also have to multiply the numerator by 3. So that makes it 3 times 3 is 9. And how do I go from 3 to 12? I multiply that by 4. And I also multiply the numerator also by 4. That makes it 8. Now they have in common denominator. I can add them. 9 plus 8 is 17 over 12. Alright? So now I want to subtract that with 5 over 8. So I put 17 over 12 minus 5 over 8. And here they're not common denominator. So what would be the common denominator or lowest common multiplier for 12 and 8? Now one way of doing it is using the one leg ladder method. Okay, so I can put 12 here and I can put 8 here. Start with this 2 and that makes it 6 and 4, because 12 divided by 2 is 6, 8 divided by 2 is 4. Next will be 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3, 4 divided by 2 is 2, and next would be 2 also, because we want to bring it all the way down to 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and bring the 3 down, and next will be 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, and this one bring 1 down. Alright, so now we're going to multiply 2 times 2, 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 3 is 24, exactly 24. So that means the common denominator for both of them will be 24. Alright, so how do I go from 12 to 24? I multiply that by 2. That means I'm going to multiply 17 also by 2. That gives me 34. Okay, because 17 times 2, 2 times 7 is 14, 4 carry 1, 2 times 2 is 1, plus 1 is 3. 34. How do I go from 8 to 24? I multiply that by 3. That means the numerator also I multiply that by 3. And that gives me 15. So now I can subtract. So 34 minus 15. So I line it up. 34 minus 15. 4 minus 5. I can't borrow from 3. 3 becomes 2. 4 becomes 14. 14 minus 5. 9. 2 minus 1, 1. So that gives me 19 over 24. Can I simplify this? No. And that's your answer. So 19 over 24. Alright? Pretty straightforward, isn't it? Okay, so keep in mind, okay? So when you have addition and subtraction, you just use the left to right method. Okay, let's do problem number 2. Now problem number 2, you got 12 plus 7 4 over 5 minus 2 4 over 5. Okay, so again same thing, addition and subtraction. Alright, so we're just going to do the left to right. So left to right. So we're going to solve this first and then that. 12, it's a whole number, and 7 is a whole number, so we can add them. Now remember, addition and subtraction, you don't change the mixed numbers into fraction, you just leave it the way it is. Okay, so we're just going to add them. The whole number, you add them with the whole number. The fraction, you add with the fraction. In this case, there's no fraction. We're just going to add the whole number. 17 plus 7 is 12 plus 7 is 19. Okay, so we're going to add 12 plus 7, which is 19, and then 4 over 5. And I'm going to subtract that with 2 4 over 5. See that? I brought that one down after I combined these two. So 19 minus 2 is 17. 5 common denominator. That means I can subtract. 4 minus 4 is 0. That means it's gone. See that? Because 0 over 5, that means 0 divided by 5. Any number, if it's 0 you divide with any number, it's always 0. So keep in mind, okay? So that means this 2 is gone. So the final answer is just 17. That's it. So you got it? Okay, good. Okay, let's do problem number 3. Problem number 3, I got 4 8 over 9 minus, and then I got a bracket 1 over 3 plus 2 1 over 2. Okay, so how do I do this? You got minus and plus. plus you have got a bracket. Are we going to use the left to right method? No. Why no? Because it's a bracket. The bracket takes the priority, okay? Even though there's a minus and plus, but the bracket says you got to solve inside the bracket first before you can subtract. Alright, so we're going to combine these two first, and then we're going to do the minus operation. Alright, okay, so let's do that. 1 plus 2 is 3, okay? 3 and 2, what's the common denominator would be? 6, alright? 6 would be the common denominator. So how do I go from 3 to 6? I multiply that by 2. If I multiply the denominator by 2, I have to multiply the numerator also by 2. So that makes it 2. 1 times 2 is 2, alright? How do I go from 2 to 6? I multiply that by 3. 3 times 2 is 6. If I multiply the denominator by 3, I also multiply the numerator by 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. So now I can combine because it both has common denominator. Okay, so that gives me 3. 2 plus 3 is 5 over, carry the denominator. Okay, so now I bring this one down. 8 over 9, 4. See that? So now I can subtract 4 and 3. So that gives me 1. Now look at 9 and 6. What would be the lowest common divider? Alright, we can use either we can try to figure out, or we can use the ladder. Alright, one leg ladder. So put the 9 and 6. Start with 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and bring the 9. Now next will be 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then another 3. This one, just bring it down. 3 divided by 3 is 1. See, now both became 1. Once that reaches, this is it right here. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. So 18 is the common denominator for both of them, or lowest common multiplier. How do I go from 9 to 18? I multiply that by 2. If I multiply 2 here, I also multiply that by 2. So 8 times 2 is 16. Alright? How do I go from 6 to 18? I multiply that by 3, because 6 times 3 is 18. If I multiply the denominator by 3, I also multiply the numerator by 3. 5 times 3 is 15. Now I can subtract. 16 minus 15, 1. Very good. So I bring this 1 first, and then 16 minus 15 is 1, and carry the denominator across. Right there. That's the end of it. Very important. You got to pay attention to this one. Right there. The rules. The rule is the bracket. Right there. The bracket takes the top priority. Anything inside the bracket, you got to solve it. And then you perform the minus operation, the subtraction operation. Okay, so I know you might wonder, well, this is minus, this is plus, why don't I use the left to right? No, the bracket takes the priority. Okay, good. Let Mr. Mac erase the board, and then we'll do problem number 4 and onwards, and I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, now let's do problem number 4. Okay, problem number 4, we are given 2 over 5 times 4 divided by 12 over 15. Alright, so we got multiplication and division. Alright, so remember, see that? Multiplication and division. When you have that together in a problem, who comes first? Doesn't matter, we use the left to right method. Okay, left to right, left to right. So that means the multiplication, I'm going to solve it first, and then I'm going to finish it up with the division. Okay, very important. Okay, let's take that apart. So we got 2 over 5. So multiplying it with 4. Now remember, when you're multiplying, both numbers has to be in fraction format. Alright, and that means 4 has to be written in fraction, which would be 4 over 1. Now can I simplify? No, I can't. So I have to use the double arrow method. 2 times 4 is 8. 5 times 1 is 5. So I completed this part. Now I take that one. So I put 8 over 5 divided by 12 over 15. Okay, so before I can do anything, I have to do first what thing? Change, exactly, or turn the division into multiplication. What method do I use? The doorknob method. Okay, we're going to turn that. Alright, so the division becomes multiplication, and the 12 over 15 also turn and becomes 15 over 12. It becomes reciprocal. Alright, and then I just rewrite the 8 over 5. Okay, before I multiply, I see if I can simplify. I can simplify 15 and 5 because I can divide 15 by 5. I can divide by 5 by 5. That gives me 3, and this one gives me 1. See that? I can divide this by 4. I can divide this by 4. See that? So that gives me 2, and that gives me 3. See that? Now I can use the double arrow method. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. 6 over 3 is pretty much 6 divided by 3, which is 2. That's the final answer. 2 right there. See that? Pretty fun, isn't it? Okay, you got it right. Good job. All right, let's look at problem number 5. Problem number 5, you're given 4 2 over 3 divided by 2 over 3 times 1 2 over 5. Okay, so now this time I gave you the division first and then multiplication. All right, so how do we do it? Again, left to right method. Left to right method. Okay, so solve it this one first and then that one. That means I'm going to perform that operation first. So let's write that apart. Okay, 4 2 over 3 divided by 2 over 3. Now again, multiplication, division use the same principle, which means they both has to be in a form of fraction in order to perform the operation. See that? So I got to turn this one into what? Fraction. That means I have to make that into improper fraction. Using the rotation method, semi-rotation, I multiply first and then I add next. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. So that makes it 14 over 3 divided by 2 over 3. Now I can perform the division operation. The division, I turn it into multiplication. When I turn, the 2 over 3 also turns and becomes 3 over 2. And I rewrite the 14 over 3. And now I simplify. 3 and 3 I can cancel out, gives me 1. Or 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. See that? 2 and 14, I can divide this by 2, I can divide this by 2. That means this one is 1 and this one is 7. Alright, so now I can use the double arrow method. 7 times 1 is 7. 1 times 1 is 1. Alright, I'm going to leave it that way because I only completed this and I got to do this one. Alright, so I'm going to write down 7 over 1 times 1, 2 over 5. But look at that. Fraction and a mixed number. So I have to change this to a fraction as well. So I'm going to use the semi-rotation method. Multiply plus. First I'm going to multiply. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 is 7. Exactly. So it's going to be 7 over 1 times 7 over 5. How do I get 7 over 5? The denominator never change. With using the semi-rotation, 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 is 7 right there. So now can I simplify? I can't. Can I simplify this way? No, never ever do that. Okay, not horizontally, only vertical or diagonal. Okay, so now we're going to use the double arrow method. So 7 times 7 is 49. 1 times 5 is 5. See that? So it becomes 49 over 5. But look at that. When you look at the 49 over 5, that should tells you it's not in a proper format because this is an improper fraction. Alright, so you should feel so uncomfortable. When you see like that, you should feel uncomfortable. It's like something is not right. It is not right because it's in a form of improper fraction. So we're going to use the down arrow method and we're going to change it to mixed numbers. Okay, so mixed number. So it's 49 divided by 5. 49 divided by 5, and we're going to use the cage approach, the long division method. Alright, 49 is kind of into Mr. Mac, I'm going to put inside the cage. 5 is kind of out, I'll put outside the cage. 4 I go to the 9. 49, in 49 there's how many 5? What is the closest to 49 in 5 timetable? 9, because 9 times 5 is what? 45. So 9 times 5 is 45. 9 minus 5 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. Okay, so that means the round number 9 right there, the denominator, which is 5, so the 4 is going to be the numerator right there. That's your final answer. And I know you got it. Okay, good job. Okay, good. All right. Okay, let Mr. Mac erase the board and we'll do problem number 6. All right, I'll be back with you in a few seconds. All right, let's do problem number 6. Okay, problem number 6. We got 1 over 2 plus 1 over 3 inside a bracket divided by 5 over 12. Okay, so now when you have something like this, always ask yourself, what do I do first? Who takes the top priority? That's where this comes in. Best mathematics developed at score A. Alright, so best is what? The bracket. Okay, so in this case, anything inside the bracket, you got to solve it first, and then the division. Alright, so let's do that. Okay, so even though there's a plus and division, and even though plus falls right there, addition falls right there, and division comes first, doesn't matter because the bracket takes the priority. Okay, so we're going to solve this first. So what's the common denominator between 2 and 3? Very good, 6. We're going to use 6. How do we do that? 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so in 6 there's how many 2? Or how do I get from 2 to 6? Timesing 3. 3 times 2 times 3 is 6. That means I'm also going to times 3 for the numerator as well. Okay, so that gives me 3 over 6 plus, how do I go from 3 to 6? I times it with 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, that means I also times 2 for the numerator. That makes it 1 times 2 is 2. Now I can combine them. Why? Because they have common denominator. That means 3 plus 2 is 5. So 5 over 6, and I can remove the bracket and bring that one down, divided by 5 over 12. Because I completed, this is the completion of that one. Alright, that's what gives me 5 over 6. Then I'm going to bring this one down and bring 5 over 12 down. Now look at the division. I'm going to turn that into multiplication. When I turn multiplication, the 5 over 12 also turns. It becomes 12 over 5. And rewrite the 5 over 6. Now I simplify. 5 and 5, I can divide by 5. I can divide by 5. Gives me 1. Gives me 1. 6 and 12, I can divide this by 6. Divide this by 6. Gives me 1. And this one gives me 2. Now I can use the double arrow method. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. See that? 2 over 1, which is what? Equals to 2. Exactly. Equals to 2. And that's your answer. That's your final answer. Alright? So the key is, solve with this, and we came down to 5 over 6. And I brought the whole thing down there, and then solved that, gave me 2. Okay? So that gave me 2. Okay, good. Let's do problem number 7. Okay, 7, we're given 5 and then a bracket with 4 over 7 minus 3 over 7. Now what that 5 is doing to the bracket? It's multiplying. Exactly, it's multiplying everything inside the bracket. So I gotta solve it inside the bracket first before I can do anything with the 5. We're multiplying it. Okay, so let's do that. They already given a common denominator, 7 and 7. So that means I can subtract that. So 4 minus 3 is 1. So 1 over 7 times 5, which is also can be rewrite as a 5 times 1 over 7. That's what that means. The bracket means multiplying. Okay, keep in mind. Alright, so let me show you. Now this is also can be written like this, times 1 over 7, which is also same as 5, 1 over 7. So this is all a multiplication. Okay, 1 over 7. See that? So you can write 3 different ways. So understand that multiplication can be written the 3 different ways. Okay, good. Now look at that. This one is in a round number or whole number, and this one is in a fraction. I can change this to a fraction, which is 5 over 1. Now I can multiply using the double arrow method. 5 times 1 is 5. 1 times 7 is 7. Right there. That's your answer. Okay, because that is in a proper form. It is a proper fraction, and there's nothing I can do to reduce it any further. That's pretty much already been reduced. Okay, alright, let's look problem number 8, the last one. We're given 4 divided by 2 over 4 times 1 over 3. See that? I'm given division and multiplication. So how do I do that? Do I use the left to right method? Good job. It's not. Why? Very good. Because that's a bracket. The bracket said you got to do the multiplication first before you can do anything else. Because bracket takes the priority. Bracket has the priority, okay? So that means I have to multiply first. So can I simplify? I can. So I just go ahead and use the double arrow method and multiply that out. 2 times 1 is 2. 4 times 3 is 12. Alright? Now look like I made a mistake. We can simplify the 2 and 4. Alright? So 2 and 4 can be simplified. We'll make it 1 and 2. But that's fine. We can simplify right here. If you didn't manage to simplify here, it will reflect on this one. And this one you can simplify. Divide this by 2. Divide this by 2. Gives me 1 over 6. See that? Okay, now I take the 4 divided by 1 over 6. Because this is 1 over 6 right there. And then I bring the division and then bring the 4 down. Alright? Make sure you remember that. Okay, this is the one came out to be that. Because we solve everything inside the bracket. Okay, so we got 4 divided by 1 over 6. Now look at that. This one is in the form of whole number or round number. So I have to change this into fraction. So I make it 4 over 1 divided by 1 over 6. Now I can work on the division. I'm going to change the division to what? Multiplication. Okay. So that means I'm turning the division to multiplication. So what will happen to 1 over 6 also turns from 1 over 6 becomes 6 over 1. What about 4 over 1? Stay the same. 4 over 1 never changes. See that? Now I use the double arrow method. 4 times 6 is 24. 1 times 1 is 1, which is equals to 24. Right there. And that's what the answer is. Pretty easy, isn't it? Very straightforward. Okay? So that's the answer for this one right here. Which is 24. Good. Wow. That's a lot of things that we learned today. That's a lot of materials. That makes you such an awesome. That makes you the best. You learn so much about fraction. Fraction plays a very important role in mathematics. And I want you to understand really well, because you're going to see this over and over again in a different format. This is the basic foundation about fraction that you need to learn how to add, how to subtract, how to multiply, how to divide, and then how to combine all those operations in one and able to solve it. See that? And you did that. In a few minutes you're going to start doing your quiz. That will be awesome. That will going to help you reinforce what you learned with Mr. Mac, and you're going to understand better. Okay, so make sure you take the quiz. And here is Pablo, and he's just reminding us it's time for quiz, even though I was telling it is quiz, and he still wants to walk by and say quiz time. And here it is. I dare you. He's awesome. He cares about you just as much Mr. Mac cares about you. I want the best, and I will only bring the best because you deserve the best. And why? Because you are the best, and it's coming from the best to you. Alright, my dear students, have fun, have fun. Now this is also the end of the lesson on fractions, and we're going to see you, I'm going to see you on decimal. Okay, it's going to be another fun lesson. Okay, so go have fun with your quiz and then come back and come and see Mr. Mac. We're waiting for you because I'm so excited. I want to teach you. I want to teach you as much as I can. I'm going to bring only the best. I'm going to give everything I got to prepare you for the future, because I believe in you, because you are our future leaders.